Hey pre-calculus students, this is a review of our standard which focuses on distance and midpoint. So hopefully you've taken the pretest and you've graded yourself. We did that in class. And then we're keeping track. This is the standard we're going to look at in this video. So hopefully you have your pretest score here. We're about to take some notes, so you're going to watch this video. And there's 4 practice problems for you to complete. And then in class there's a key where you can check your answers. And as long as you've done those 3 steps before you take the test, that will be some extra credit toward your test grade for this first quarter. All right, so let's dive in and take these notes. This is probably the most straightforward standard. We have our formulas. They're on our note sheet. And again, you'll have this as your reference during the test. Midpoint and distance are right on there. So if you're wondering where I'm getting them during this video, that's where I'll be getting these formulas. Okay. For number 1, it says find the length of the segment / distance between. So I included both of those because sometimes you can think of it as, if we have 2 points, you could think of it as the length of a segment. So a length of, say, that green segment there. Or you could think of it as just the distance between those 2 points. Either one is the same. We'll use the same formula in the complex plane. All right. Distance formula is the modulus of z1 minus z2. Doesn't matter if they were called different things. If they were called w and z, we would just say one number minus the other. That's going to be modulus of 2 plus 3i. And again, I open up my parentheses for each one so that I don't mess up my signs. Simplifying, on the inside, I see this negative has to be distributed to both. That's going to give me that's going to be a plus 4 and a plus 2i. And so 2 plus 2 is 6, and 3 plus 2 is 5. And then again, these vertical symbols, that means take the modulus. The modulus. They are the same as the absolute value symbols, but we have a different meaning when we're talking about complex numbers. Modulus, the formula for that is right up here. When we have these little absolute value signs, it's the square root of a squared plus b squared. All right. So down here, I would say it's going to be equal to the square root of 6 squared, which is 6 squared, plus 25 squared, which is the square root of, oops, not 25 squared, just 5 squared, which is going to be 25. That's going to be 36 plus 25, which is the square root of 61. You could leave it as the square root of 61, or you could simplify it, or I mean, you could write it as a decimal, which would be approximately 7.8. That's how we find distance. We have a formula, plug our points in, simplify. Pretty straightforward once we know the formula. All right, again, this one now says the midpoint, and again, we could think of midpoint as either just the point that lies between 2 points, like this, or we could think of it as the middle of some segment. So whether they're talking about midpoint of a segment or just the midpoint, they're the same thing. Formula is this: midpoint equals, it's the average, c1 plus c2 all over 2. Plug in our numbers, plus negative 4 minus 2i all over 2. Combine like terms on top. 2 and negative 4 is a negative 2. 3 and negative 2 is a positive 1i all over 2. And then both of these are being divided by 2, so we'll split it up. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1, and negative 1 divided by 2 is plus 1/2 I. I could also write this as a decimal, negative 1 plus 0.5 I. Either one gives us our midpoint. So this is going to be a pretty short video. It's just those 2 skills, finding distance, finding midpoint. Down here in the practice, there's 4 problems, 1, 2, 3, 4. It says find the distance and midpoint between each of those. So this is just meant to build up your confidence. In class, there's a key where you can check your answers once you're done. And then that'll be the 3 steps you need to take to get credit for this. Next time, we're going to move on to the next one, B4. But I will see you all later.